10 fragrances everybody should have in their collection. Let's talk about it.
Here's some codes to save you some cash on your next Middle Eastern, niche, or designer fragrances.
What's going on, guys? My name is Neeb. Welcome back to AROMATIX. Today we're going to be talking about 10 fragrances everyone should have in their collection. Also, these are fragrances that are perfect to start a collection with. These are basically going to be back to the basics types of fragrances, okay? A lot of these fragrances have mass appeal, they last long, they're fragrances you can pick up at Macy's, Nordstrom, etc. And they're all really good. I think that these should be staples in a lot of people's collection, especially as a beginner into the designer realm fragrances. So yes, some of them are basic, but there's beauty in basics. A lot of these actually last pretty long and they're compliment getters. And just because they're at Macy's doesn't mean they don't smell good. And something you wear might smell better on you than it does on me, or vice versa. And let's talk about the first fragrance on this list. This is from Chanel and it's pretty pricey, but this is worth it. A lot of you guys that don't really have the cash for this are gonna go out there and look for an alternative that smells like this. And while there are quite a few that smell, you know, close to Bleu de Chanel, there isn't anything that's going to really top it. It's Bleu de Chanel Eau de Parfum, the best blue fragrance on the market. So yeah, this is one of those fragrances where it's like, oh, everybody has, still smells great. And when you wear it, you're still very likely to get compliments, still worthy of it. Extreme compliment getter, fantastic. Another question that I get very frequently about Bleu de Chanel fragrances is which one should I get? Should I get the Parfum, the Eau de Toilette, or the Eau de Parfum? The Parfum is a little bit more grown, it's woodier, it's drier, it's less citruses, so it's not gonna pop off your skin the loudest. It's gonna last a decent amount of time, but even then it's not really the longest lasting. The Eau de Toilette does scream a little bit. It's not as refined, but it also doesn't last the longest. This I find to be the best of all worlds, really. It's got a little bit of the woodiness, the citruses, it pops off the skin. This is the best one for sure. Bleu de Chanel Eau de Parfum, excellent fragrance. Next one is a 1 million fragrance, and this isn't going to be the sweetest one, and this isn't one that I was crazy about when I first got my nose on, but as I started to rock it a little, I really started to appreciate this even more. And this is 1 million Royal. Opens up with a little bit of spices, some lavender, sage, cardamom, benzoin in the base. It's actually a pretty decent fragrance, and especially as a beginner, compliment worthy, lasts a hell of a long time as well. I get minimum of 8 hours with this fragrance. Really easy to like. Really easy to like. There's not a person that I know that dislikes this, like just says, no, ew, that's disgusting. Sure, there are a lot of people that, you know, their taste might be elevated or a little bit higher for a lot of these fragrances, but then again, this is a great beginner's fragrance. And to be honest with you guys, I would rock all of these fragrances again tomorrow if I had to. So yeah, sure, mass appealing. Ooh, no, that's a good thing. That's definitely a good thing. And that's exactly what this is. Mass appealing, sexy, sweet, a little bit spicy at the top. It's a good fragrance for sure. Versatility king as well. You can rock this in multiple seasons, and that's another huge factor when it comes to a lot of these fragrances, especially for the ones in this list. You want to be able to wear one of these fragrances if you decide to pick one or two up for the most occasions, etc. Next fragrance on this list is going to be the most expensive. All right, this is pretty simple, but it's expensive and it does it in the best way possible. You don't necessarily have to make this like an, oh my god, I have to get this, because it's pretty expensive. Like discounters $225, retail $355. Don't ever buy retail. This is Parfums de Marly Althair. Yeah, this is a niche fragrance technically that kind of dances in between the realm of designer and niche. This is the brand that bridges the gap between both worlds essentially. And this is really, I mean, honestly, as a beginner, it's going to be something where you're like, whoa. I don't know if it's the smartest to start off with something that's basically niche, because then your taste is going to be like, oh my god, what are these other fragrances? But this, I would recommend this to even a beginner. It's vanilla, a little bit of cinnamon, some ambroxan, so it pops off your skin, super loud performing. This is going to be, for a beginner, one of the best fragrances they put their nose on and add to their collection. So yes, hefty price tag, but just like with Bleu de Chanel, you get what you pay for. An excellent fragrance, and there might be alternatives to that one. But anyways, still a good fragrance for a beginner. If you want a cheap alternative, just stay tuned or check out my other videos, okay? Next fragrance, Ultramall. Still relevant, still good, still loud. And yes, this is one that there are alternatives, but I'll be honest and say that they're not as good as the original, period. Hands down, this is the best. Well, obviously it's the original, but no, okay? So we're gonna jump into the first fragrance that jumps into mind, 9 p.m. 9 p.m. is a good fragrance, but it's not this one. When there's a fragrance that's done, you know, for on the cheap and it's actually better, I have no problem saying that there is a cheap alternative for it. But when there's a fragrance that's done for cheap, but it's not as good, I'm also gonna say that it's not as good as the original. So these are two fragrances where there is no inspired by or cheaper alternative that really smells better than the original. Those two are fantastic fragrances. Next fragrance also hasn't been done and is worth the price tag. To be honest, it's probably one of my best pickups from Valentine's Valentino in the last year since they discontinued the whole Iris vibe and Valentino Uomo Intense, etc. This is Valentino Born in Roma Coral Fantasy. If you guys are looking for something date night, etc., whereas Ultramall is going to be like going around town, you want to be really loud, sweet, sexy, seductive, but you want to be loud, sexy, sweet, that's what you would do with this. But if you want to be sweet, sexy, and seductive, that's where you would go with this. Still pretty attention grabbing and really not bad in terms of performance. You want to spray this on like 6 to 8 times in your set. A great fragrance, super addicting, panty dropper, all of that good stuff right here. Born in Roma Coral Fantasy. A lot of sweet fragrances. We got to balance some things out with a little bit of a freshness. This is still great. It's still an excellent fragrance. Sauvage Eau de Parfum. Yeah, I would still rock this. I would still recommend this, but I would recommend the Eau de Parfum. There are a lot of newbies that get into this space and when they smell this, they're like, whoa. And yeah, it really is still that good. Sure, a lot of guys wear it, but sure, a lot of guys wear Bleu de Chanel. This is still a fresh, good blue fragrance that I would recommend to this day, and that's the same case with this. If you're gonna go with one, pick the Eau de Parfum. It's the best, it's the longest lasting, it's the best projecting. The Parfum is a great fragrance as well. It's got the addition of sandalwood, some sweetness and more creaminess, but because of that, it doesn't really scream off of the skin as loud as this one. I would personally rock this one literally everywhere, along with some of these other fragrances that have extreme versatility, even the sweet ones. This is all year. So you get this, it's one and done, you're all set for every occasion. And yeah, that one's a good one. Next up is also fresh, but this adds a little bit of sweetness, and the way that this projects is outstanding. One of the best from the entire lineup, the best flanker, in my opinion, Ysl Y Edp. A lot of compliments, a lot of attention. This has gotten me through the years. Like, this is a crazy fragrance, man. You can wear it literally everywhere. It's a little bit sweeter than the original, which is still a fantastic fragrance, and it projects extremely well as well, the original. So although the EDT is a little bit lighter, this is an overall better fragrance. You can rock this all year round. It might be a little too much when it gets extremely hot. You might be better off going with the EDT for those occasions, but for the most part and for most climates, you're all set with this. One fragrance and you're done. Next one smells like laundry day, but extremely luxurious. You're gonna smell very refined, clean, masculine Prada L'homme. A fantastic laundry detergent, fabric softener vibe fragrance. I've gotten so many compliments with this fragrance. Women just like a man that smells clean, for the most part. If you smell clean and sweet and sexy, like a lot of these other fragrances, this one, I mean, this is spicy, sweet, sexy. This one is a little bit sweet, sexy, you know. This is extremely sexy. I mean, most of these fragrances are sexy, but this is sexy, and all of these are sexy in its own way. This is sexy because of how clean you're gonna smell. This is sexy because of how clean you're gonna smell as well, except this one's different. Whereas this one is peppers and ambroxan, it's gonna be really loud, some citruses. This is gonna be more so floral, soft, powdery, laundry detergent. You basically are gonna feel like a pillow. You're gonna smell like the softest pillow on earth. God damn it. And she's gonna rest her head on your chest. That's a good fragrance. All right, one of the best fragrances in the last like 5 years. Hate it or love it, Sauvage Elixir. Yep, a really good fragrance. Excellent, man, amazing. This is like Dracar Noir moderned out. It's like the modern day, every man should have fragrance. Yeah, really good. Licorice, spicy, a little clean. To me, this is kind of fresh, okay? This is kind of fresh. A lot of people are, what? This is a freshie? Yeah, man, yeah. Welcome to the Middle East. This is fresh. Okay, it's a little bit spicier than most freshies. It's not that fresh, but still, I would rock that all year. Last one, I couldn't figure out which one I wanted to do, okay? I included a lot of sweet fragrances and I'm just stuck between these two, and they're excellent for beginners. One of them is a little bit more unique than the other, but the other one's louder than the other, and here you go, man. We're just gonna make this an 11 list, okay? Scandal by JPG and Born in Roma Intense. This is an excellent fragrance as well. Oh, wait a minute, you brought up another one. Yeah, so differences, and they're both very different enough to warrant the purchase. These are not redundant whatsoever. This one goes a little bit fresher, spicier, and woodier in the dry down, and this one goes a little bit spicier, ambery, and sweet in the dry down. There's still some woods, there's like the backbone DNA, but these are pretty detached, to be honest. So both of these are excellent options. If you like more sexier vibes, go with Coral Fantasy. If you like more fresher, woodier vibes, go with Born in Roma Intense. I am making a list of all of these Born in Roma fragrances to do differences and comparisons, etc., because they're great fragrances, and stay tuned for that if it's not already posted yet. Scandal is also an excellent fragrance. It's got some citrus at the top, a lot of lavender, lavender, you do get that JPG base DNA that I get with a lot of their fragrances, but in the dry down, it's also got some sweetness, etc. A fantastic fragrance in my opinion. So there you have it, 11 fragrances that I think every man should have in their collection. And these are basically 11 fragrances that are perfect to start any collection with. 10 designer fragrances, 1 niche fragrance, but they're all worth the price tag for sure. If you're looking forward for a cheap version of this very exact same list, make sure to hit that notification bell so you don't miss that video as well. Subscribe, like, all that good stuff. Until the next one, peace.